Hi there, follow these 5 steps to get your PMP exam in under 5 weeks if you have the time to put in to study the PMBOK and also if you have the right tools. Today's video is sponsored by our friends at Boson. More on them later. Before we jump in, just a quick introduction. If you're new here, I am Nick, a PMP and CSM certified project management professional. I'm here to help you guide through your project management journey and help answer any of your questions. Now let's look at the first one to follow. So the number one that I have is you have to study the PMBOK. So there is no real shortcut here. You have to study this. So I have in my hand the PMBOK 7th edition, which is the latest. But in PMI's website, they have not discounted the fact that the PMBOK 6th edition, which is bigger, and this is still in 50% of the PMP exam in 2023. This covers a lot of standard waterfall project management methodology, whereas the 7th edition covers more of an agile perspective. Also, we have an agile guide that comes with the 6th edition, so you have to read these 3 books. Again, these editions can change as PMI publishes new PMP exam format in 2023 and beyond. So I would always recommend students to check out the PMI's exam content outline to ensure that you are referring to the latest PMBOK when preparing for the exam. I have the link for the PMP exam content outline in the description below, so you can check that out. The number 2. So this is most critical because submitting your PMP exam application would take some time. So when you decide to do your PMP exam, you have to submit your application, and to take the stress out of the studies, I would go ahead and submit your PMP application. And the approvals process could take some time, probably 2 to 3 weeks or sometimes even more. And once you have approved application, then you have 1 year to appear for the PMP exam, so there is enough time. So that brings us to point number 3, that is practice. You have to be very determined, and then you have to practice to successfully complete the exam, because it's a tough exam, not from a material perspective, but to spend 4 hours focused on a very tough situational questions, and you get approximately less than 2 minutes to answer each question. That is reading the question and looking at all the options and selecting the right one. So it is challenging and tough in that situation, and that's where today the sponsor of this video comes in handy, because they are offering a PMP Exam Simulator, which is so handy when it comes to preparing for your PMP exam. Boson is not a new name. They are the pioneers when it comes to networking and practice exam for CCNA and CCNP and other networking courses. So after you log on to the ExSim-Max practice exams, you click on the top right corner to go to the settings, where you can change a bunch of things. So for color scheme, I have light that is selected, but if you want to select dark, and you can do that by clicking here. The exam list view is whether you want to see the different exams that is available to you as list, card, or categories. You can do that. If I select categories and then go back to this view here, my different exams, you can see that it is categorized based on the selection. So if I click again, go to settings, and I don't like the categories, I want like a card. Then if I select cards and go back here, you can see that now each of the exam available to you is in a card format. So what I have here is the ExSim-Max for PMP. So if I click on it, then it will take me inside. But before we do that, let me go back, change the setting to the list view. That's what I like, so that I see it as a list, so I can see the details of all the exams. So right now, these are the 4 exams that's available for me. So I would say load exam. That will take me to both the study mode and the simulation mode. So one of the cool features is that you can look at the exam results and look at where you lack knowledge. So let me show you that by going to the home page. And here you can see that this is one of the exam I took, and I passed this exam. Scored 655 out of 900. So if I go to click on full report, you can see the details. Here, if you click on other options, you would see that I have all other exams listed that is taken previously. So if I look at the exam that I got passed with 655, 73% score, if I click on the view exam, you can see the scoring, and it also lists out the different questions. So here again, you can go to the settings, and if you want to see the question layout instead of card as table, then you can do that. Then if you come back here, I like this view where I can see all the questions in a tabular format. I can see all the answers. You have the same information on the card view also, but how it is presented in a table format is more readable for me, in my personal opinion, and I can see the incorrect and the correct answers. But if you want to look at category where you lack, so you can click on the category breakdown, and you would see that you have business environment section where you lack knowledge, and you can click on any of the right or wrong questions to review it further to see what was incorrect. And you can also do the same thing by clicking on the references, so whether you got the answer right or wrong for people, processes, or business environment. So this, I believe, is one of the coolest feature that the tool offers, where you can look at by different category and see where you lack your knowledge, and look at only the wrong answers and review it and see what went wrong. There was an option for me to look at the questions that I marked for review. If there was any questions that I was not confident at the time of giving the exam, I marked it for review, so that after I complete all the 180 questions, I can go back and review those marked questions and spend some more time and pick the right answer, or what I feel right at that time. I also had an option to search for unanswered questions, so that was a cool feature. So if I type in unanswered or not answered in the search bar, it brought up any questions that I missed, and I was able to go back and answer those questions. So overall, it's a pretty awesome tool to test your knowledge and look at where you lack. One of the cool feature that Boson is offering is no pass, no pay guarantee. That means if you take the exam using the simulator for multiple times and you passed all the time, and if you go back to the PMP exam, the real world exam, and if you did not pass your exam, then they would refund the amount that you spent for the tool. So that's a cool feature. And it also shows how much they're confident about their tool. Now let's jump into some of the question and see how the experience is answering the questions and see how it goes. All right, so once I log in, this is the active screen that I get. If I click on manage, it will take you to the actual product itself. You can click on launch on the right hand side. That will bring you to the latest exam, which I was testing it earlier. So if I want to resume that exam, I can do that, or you can load the exam. So if you load the exam, you would see that on the left you have exam A, B, C, and D. So those are the 4 modes that is available in the study mode. That means you can practice as long as you want. It's not timed in any way. So for exam A, if you click on the modify settings, you can actually change how the exam question should appear. You can randomize the answer and the questions. You can show the current score during the exam, or if you don't want to see the score, you just wanted to do the exam, then you can unclick that. You can show the number of answers that need to be correct, and also in the timer settings, you can make it as timed or not timed. When you're doing the study mode, I would say don't worry about the time. You're just looking to test your knowledge to see which areas you're strong and where you need to go back and read against, right? All of them has 180 questions, so it will tell you how this exam is set up, and then click on begin exam. And if you look at the left, you see we are in a study mode, so you can always review the answers. So first question here is, the project owner of a new agile project has no experience with agile approach. During a mentoring session, the project owner asked the project manager to describe the relationship between agile project and the Kanban method. So what should a project manager do? So I'm going to click on the option C, and then I can go to the next question. At any point, if I was not sure, I wanted to see the answer, what happened here, you can click on show answer, and it'll tell you that it is incorrect because the answer is D. The cool part here is that it gives an explanation of what's going on, right? With the example why the answer D is correct. So it gives all the explanation here. So it says the project manager in this scenario should say agile and Kanban method are descendants of lean manufacturing, and explain all the details why so, right? And then it also gives another cool thing, that is a reference. And if you look at the reference, you can see that it is being referred in the 6th edition under the Agile Practice Guide. So that's the one that I was showing you earlier. This book here, it is very critical to have this and read this, because most of the questions come from this, and Boson has taken time to craft these questions based on all 3 textbooks. So they are using the latest books for preparing this exam, the simulation mode. So it's a good tool which will give you everything you need to pass your exam. And it also tells you the category. So let's click on next. If you don't want to answer and show the answer, you can click on it. That's how this is handy. This mark for review is something that you will find in the actual PMP exam, because if you are not sure about a question, then you can click it as mark for review. So when you finish all the 180 questions, you can come back and review only the one that you have marked for review. This is handy because when you're not sure about certain answers and you wanted to go back and review it again, if you have time, that's when you would mark it and then come back late. Now let's go back to the actual menu where we left off. So let me show you the simulation exam. So if I go to load exam, you have the option now to go to the simulation mode. And in simulation mode, what happens is you have questions that are randomized, and the exam is now timed for 230 minutes. So it's just under 4 hours, and this is how the real world exam would be. And it'll never tell you the answer. You have to complete your entire question, and the live scoring is not done similar to the actual PMP exam. You have to finish the exam before you can see whether you pass or fail. The exam has 180 questions, which is also true how you will be evaluated in the real world. If you start the simulation mode, you will see that now the time is running on the top. So, all that nervousness and all comes in. So this is the number 4 item, or the number 4 tip that I have is, once you're ready, once you have done the study mode multiple times, you have to come back and do the simulation exam at least once. And I would recommend, if possible, you have to do it at least 2 times and make sure that you pass the exam with 80% or more, because that way, that, you have went through the drill and you have put in that effort to focus 4 hours, and you're confident because you have the tools available. So why not utilize to the maximum, right? And there is no restriction as to how many times you can take these exams. And if you have the option to review the wrong answers, I would highly recommend not just focus on the wrong answer, focus the entire 180 questions. That way you can ensure that whatever you selected as the right answer, it was not by chance. So that's in a nutshell what Boson has for the PMP Exam Simulator. And I highly recommend this because this is something that I wish I had when I was taking the PMP exam. At the time, I wish I had 4 study modes and multiple options to do simulation, but that was not the case, considering that you have a lot of study mode and the option to review the exam multiple times. So once you buy it, it is valid for 1 year, so you can play around with it. And if you're taking more longer time to prepare for your PMP exam, then you would find it extremely valuable to have this on your side and practice as you go. Sometimes you get bored of reading the actual textbooks and you wanted to see, hey, let me test my knowledge of so far, and you can do that by using the ExSim-Max practice exams. So click on the link in the description below to get the special discount from Boson. So let's jump on to the number 5, the final point, which is actually preparing for the actual PMP exam. For the actual exam day, I would say it is going to be a little bit difficult, but if you have done the simulation with the Boson software, then you are actually ready and you don't feel like you're going into an unknown territory, because you have went through the process with the simulator and you know exactly what to expect in the exam. I would only say that carry some snacks and water in your bag, because when you arrive at the exam center, you would have a locker to place this in. So you can just, when you're tired after 2 hours, you can take a quick break, go to the restroom, come back, drink some water, have some snacks, re-energize, and then go back into the exam room and complete it. Last but not the least, be confident and be focused on the question and answers. if you have used the Boson tool to practice it so long, so there is no reason why it would be difficult for you to do it in the actual exam, because you have mentally and physically prepared for sitting down 4 hours and doing this exam fully focused, right? So that's why this tool is so handy, and I hope you take advantage of the special offer. Get your PMP exam and be done with it, because it feels pretty good after getting your PMP certification in hand. It's so awesome and it's so valuable when you're in the job market for a project manager job. PMP is still considered as one of the golden standard when it comes to project management. So, all right, so let's summarize the 5 steps that we went over in today's video. Number 1 is you have to read the PMBOK. There is no other alternative to it. So spend time, read the PMBOK. And once you're done with first round of reading, then I would say go ahead and submit your PMP application form so that it's out of the way and you can focus on taking the exam. Number 3 is doing a practice study mode exam, so you can try to answer as many questions as you can and see what you got wrong and go back and read those in the PMBOK. Number 4 is once you're done and you're ready to take the real world exam, before doing that, do a simulation exam with the tool, score 80% or more, and make sure that you're blocking 4 hours or more of your day so that you're fully focused and spending time on completing the simulation mode in one go. And last but not the least, number 5, make sure that you drink a lot of water and take a good night's sleep the day or the night before. And on the exam day, make sure you carry some water and snacks. Spend those 4 hours and come out with flying colors with the PMP certification in your hand. All right. So that's all for today. I hope this video helped you or motivated you to take your PMP exam. It's not that hard. It's just that you have to invest time in it and you will see the benefits. That's all for today. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, give it a like. And if you're new here, consider subscribing, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care. Bye.